Is cutting tall weeds with a string head not cutting it for you and got you feeling down?
Stop using those pesky string heads in tall weeds and grass and get yourself
the 4-blade grass cutting blade from Stihl.
Thanks, Kyle. This works great.
Hey everybody, today I've got an exciting video for you. We're going to be taking a look at the first of 5 follow-up videos from our Stihl weed trimming and brush cutting overview video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the first of those 5 blades, and if you haven't seen that video, maybe you want to check that one out before watching this one so that you know what there is to come. But today we're going to be taking a look at the first of the 5 blades, which is the 4-blade grass cutting blade. So today we're going to take that blade, we're going to install it, and then we're going to take it out, we're going to use it, and I'm going to show you what it's best used for and then also what it's not best used for so that you can see at what point maybe you would want to change to, say, a circular saw blade or something like that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the 4-blade onto our weed trimmer, which I'm using a Stihl KM94R. So I'm going to show you how to install it so that you can see how to install it all the way up through what it's not best used for, so you'll be set to go once you pick one of these up. So these are used with a plethora of Stihl weed trimmers. So let's go ahead and we'll get that blade installed. To install your 4-blade grass cutting blade, you're going to need the blade, your trimmer head, a socket wrench or a wrench, a socket, and in this case a 3/4 inch socket, and then your trimmer head locking rod. Okay, so now that we're ready to install our new grass cutting blade, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need our locking bar, and that's going to get inserted into the trimmer head right here in this hole. And what that's going to do is it's going to lock the trimmer head so that you can remove the nut on the bottom side. So you simply slide that locking bar into that hole, and when it's not locked, as you can see, the trimmer head freely spins. But once you have that locking rod set into place and the cutout that's on the inside, it does not allow the trimmer head to spin. So therefore, now I can remove my nut to remove all of this to install the blade. So now that we have that locked, we will take our socket wrench and we will remove that nut by turning it to the right. This does have reverse threads, so the age-old saying of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey does not apply here. And that's very difficult to say because it's going against everything that I ever learned as a kid. So once you have that nut off, you can remove all of your parts, and now you are ready to install your new blade. These blades are nice because they are reversible and sharpenable. So you should get a lot of life out of one of these blades. So now we'll install our blade, and first we'll look at right here, there's a little bit of a lip, and that's what your blade, the hole in your blade, is going to fit around. So you'll install the blade by fitting it around that, and that'll keep it from moving. So now we'll take our washer, we will install that. And just before you do that, as you can see there, it does have a little bit of a cup to it. You want the raised part to be facing down, away from the blade. So you install your washer, and then all the way down to our nut. And again, lefty-tighty. So we'll get that hand tightened, get our socket wrench, and we will tighten it down so it is snug. Now we can remove our locking pin, and we're all set to go trim. Now before we start trimming, we have a pretty good size area that we're going to work through. A lot of this stuff that we're going to start with for the 4-blade trimmer blade is going to be at that point where if you're using string, you might start to be breaking the string, or you may start to get tangled up on the head, and that just turns into a pain. And at that point, that's when you may want to consider switching to your 4-blade trimmer blade. just cuts so effortlessly. So as you could see, as I was cutting with the 4-blade grass cutting blade in the tall and thick grass and weeds, it was really effortless. It was actually cutting through like butter. It made cutting those weeds really simple, as compared to if I was going to use a string head. It probably would have gotten some tangles, and you'd be messing with breaking string. So for that purpose, this 4-blade is the way to go. Okay, so now I'm going to take the 4-blade grass cutting blade and I'm going to show you what it's not really meant for. For example, there's a lot of stuff here, these tall saplings, I guess, if you will, that it's not really used for that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to cut through some of that stuff, maybe some vines if I can find some, stuff like that, that this blade is not really used for, and we'll see how it does. All right, guys, so now that we've finished cutting, as you could see in the first part of the video, the 4-blade grass blade performed really well cutting in the high, thick weeds. It cut really nicely, and for me, the user, it didn't make a whole lot of effort. So you could use that, trim that kind of stuff for an extended period of time and be comfortable doing it. Now, when in the second half of the video, when we were starting to cut some of those saplings and some of the thorny brush and that kind of stuff, that's the stuff that we got into where the performance dropped. Yes, the 4-blade grass cutting blade was still able to cut it, but it wasn't as comfortable as what it was, nor did it perform as well as what it did when I was cutting the high, thick weeds. So the 4-blade grass cutting blade performed great in the high, thick weeds, but once you switch over and you go to the thorns and tangled brush, and then as you get into saplings, you may want to start to consider either the brush knife or then one of Stihl's circular saw blades. So I hope this video helped if you're trying to make a decision as to whether or not to use one of these or when to use one, and then additionally when to use the brush knife or circular saw blades. So thanks for watching this video. God bless. Have a great day.